Good morning. This video is a personal testimony of my health journey over the past 3 years, and I'll just briefly go over major events that has occurred, major what I consider to be major revelations. I'm just going to start with the beginning. So before I even came across this information, in 2009, Marquita and I, it's my wife, Marquita, we constructed a vision board. We went to Walmart, I believe Walmart, and we got a construction board. And on that construction board, we discussed some of the things that we wanted to experience, we wanted to manifest and to create, wanted to be and know what it feels like to do these things. Getting a home was one. Making babies was another one. Exercise, fitness was another one. We put yoga on there, so we're doing very well with that. But the topic that we're speaking about is health and nutritious food, good healthy food, good healthy living. This is in 2009. We weren't aware of how much of a change that was going to take place. We just did not know. We just knew that if you create a vision board, or if you create a vision and you hold on to that vision, it's the reason why we wrote it down on paper on a vision board, so that we could see it every day or every other day, or whenever we just focus our attention on it. It reminded us of where we were going, so we wouldn't deviate from the vision or deviate from the path. 2010, we began to become more health conscious. We started buying 92% fat-free beef, the blue top milk, or the 2%, I guess, the fat-free milk. I can't remember, it's been so long since I've looked at it. We began eating cheese and yogurt and other things that the health community at the time, on that level that I was on, that I was vibrating on, I was eating those things. Oatmeal or any other type of wheat or grain that was said to be healthy for you. 100% whole wheat though. Or we were doing 100%, the one that had the heart on the box. We deemed that as healthy. And it was not. It just was not. When we began eating more of those foods, trying to be health conscious, that's when the weight just began to increase. That's when the constipation formed, and that's when we knew. I personally knew that, look, it's time to make a change. And I think because I kept talking to other people, that information it started pouring in. And one day my uncle told me, I said, well, we're eating healthy now. And he said, well, what kind of meat are you eating? I explained to him, we're eating fat-free beef, we're eating fish like salmon, we're eating shrimp. And he was like, wait a minute, you're eating shrimp? He said, well, shrimp are bottom feeders. I said, well, what's a bottom feeder? He said, well, the healthy fish swim at the top of the water. They can swim, they have fins, so they go and they eat the algae, they eat the sea moss, the bladderwrack, or whatever was ever growing. And whenever they go to the bathroom, the feces float to the bottom. Well, at the bottom, you'll find bottom feeders, and shrimp are bottom feeders. He says, so you're eating a thing in the ocean that only eats, feces. So you're eating feces. In other words, in essence, we were eating feces. So once he told me that, he said, hey, go and research Dr. Sebi. He said, go look up Dr. Sebi. And I did. It took me about 2 weeks, 3 weeks to go in and look at them, but eventually I did. And when I did, my life at that moment changed. I did not know how much it was going to change. I did not begin practice at that time, but the information was here. I knew, I've seen people with a healthy body because I began watching more and more videos. So I was shocked by what I was seeing. I'm like, man, I would love to look like that. Right now, I'm big and I'm bulky, lifting weights, protein shakes, but to me, that's not attractive. And when I see celebrities, when I see very attractive women, their men are slim, they're fit, they have abs, they have defined definition. They're not just bulky with a little definition, you know, definition maybe in the biceps. You can see the roundfulness of the triceps, but there was no striation. There was no definition. So there was something about that lifestyle that held on to me. And one day I was watching a video. It was a young couple. It was just a YouTube video, and they were in the kitchen cooking, just normal people. And this guy, he had to be around 150 pounds, and she had to be around 115. And I'm telling you that was the beautifulest thing that I've ever seen. They were so, he had dreads, she had dreads. They were slim and fit, and they were looking really, really good. So Keita and I, we had a argument. You know, the tone was argumentative, but the mission, the direction that we were going to was positive because it changed, that night changed our life. Overnight, we had that talk, said, hey, look, we need to try this. And then she said, fuck it, let's go vegan. And at the time, I didn't know what a vegan was. She did, because maybe she had read some information that I didn't. She said, let's go vegan. I said, okay, that's fine. And I got up that very next morning, went to my pantry, and I already had Dr. Sebi's food list printed out. And I already had conducted my own research on what's a chemical, what's not a chemical, all these sulfites and sulfates and oxides and all of these different things that come in processed packaged foods. You know, your corn syrup and things like that. Your high fructose corn syrup, cornstarch. You know, when you look on your ingredients on the back of a package, I already knew what all those things were, but just weren't aware of the ramifications that it had in the body, that it has on the brain, and in the organs and the tissues of the body. I just wasn't aware of it. So I began to basically trash out everything that we had. I put in a trash bag and took down the street to my grandmother's house, because I know they're going to eat meat, they're going to eat cheese, they're going to eat pastas, they're going to eat all of that. So I didn't want to throw food away. I wanted to give it to somebody that's going to do something with it, because they're not doing what we're doing. It's rare that people do this. We went to HEB. We bought fruits and vegetables. We didn't know what to get. We just started buying stuff that came from the earth. We started buying earth food. And in the beginning, we were making soups, because Kitty could make soups. You know, I couldn't cook then, and I really can't cook now. So I would just go and get me peaches, pears, plums, anything that was a fruit I would eat, because I wasn't too fond of vegetables or anything like that. And then that's how our journey began. And immediately within 2 weeks, the very first thing that I woke up saying was, babe, I feel loose. I feel like there's a relief or some type of a lift. I didn't notice any weight loss at the time, because I wasn't trying to lose weight. I wanted to be healthy. I didn't even know that I was sick. I wasn't aware of it. And I didn't know that I was already undergoing a major cleansing process, because I was what you would call a detoxing, because detoxing is when you're not eating toxic foods. So I was already not eating toxic foods for 2 weeks. And it may be a week later or a month later, I got on the scale and I was like, babe, I lost 15 pounds. She was like, oh, did you really? She said, I noticed you did look like you were getting slim. I said, man, this is crazy. This is wild. And at the time, Kita graduated. So we decided I decided to not go ahead and get my degree in accounting because I didn't want to do that. So we just picked up and we left. I just had one more semester, and I actually did go back to school earlier this year, and I have one more class to clip, and then I have a degree if I decide to clip that class. I really don't care about it because it's not necessary. So we went homeless. We went homeless for about 3 or 4 months. Instead of going to get a job and working, we said, look, let's take a break. Let's not worry about anything. Who cares what we do? We have 2 cars. So we parked one car at my parents' house, and we just started traveling. We started going to cabins. We were going to lakes. You know, we bought a tent and we were going, you know, laying out in lakes, and we were spending money, but it was well spent. You know, we were able to get an experience that we've never had before, personally, or being by ourselves, or as a couple. So it was great for us as a couple. While we were doing this, well, we didn't want to eat bread or anything toxic, things that we knew that were toxic, like make peanut butter and jelly sandwich on the road. So we were primarily raw. We weren't cooking anything. We went and bought a juicer, Jack LaLanne, so we started juicing everything. We were drinking raw green juices and things of that nature. So more weight came off. Next thing you know, I'm 200 pounds. I'm down from 230 pounds to 200 pounds. The weight is falling off, and now people are saying, you look sick. At that moment, I was like, okay, something is happening to me, and people are beginning to take notice. So took the kids to my mom's house. So whenever the kids leave, even now, when the kids leave, we don't eat much. We don't have to have a lot of food. We usually do it because we're cooking and we're making food for the kids and for everyone, and we're all over the place buying food and making food, eating fruits here, eating fruits there. The kids left, so we were like, well, hey, let's go on a master cleanse. In fact, this is kind of what the master cleanse is here. I got some cayenne pepper in here, just a dash, because that stuff is strong. I got some key limes, and I have a dash of some moringa in here. In fact, let me take a sip. All right, so I love the cayenne when it goes down. So, where am I? Okay, so we're at the cabins now. We're at the cabins. We're in Austin. We're at William Cannon. We're at some cabins down in William Cannon, in the city, but they're cabins. And we began doing the master cleanse. We were able to do it for 5 days straight while the kids were there. And that's all we were doing. We were just doing the master cleanse, drinking that all day. And within 5 to 6 days, because at the time I was around 195, in 5 to 6 days, I went from 195 to 185 pounds. And Kita had lost around 10 pounds too. And we were feeling phenomenal. And our bodies were looking great. Abs began to show. Never had abs my entire life. Here I am, 30 years old or 31 years old. I can't remember. I would have to calculate. Abs began to show. And we were exercising at the time too. We were doing push-ups and we were doing yoga, but we didn't have a gym membership, so the exercise wasn't intense. It was more like, you know, whenever we went to the park or whatever, we would do dips, so we would do pull-ups, push-ups, things like that. Or sometimes I would go to maybe in the facility gym. They have facility gyms. I would go in there and do some light work, but then I would always make sure I do some type of yoga type activity or just stretching. And yeah, I had got, before we left those cabins, I got all the way down to 180 pounds. 180 pounds. And I was so confident at that moment. I was so stuck on myself at that moment that I thought that, man, it can't get no better than this. This is all within 5 or 6 months, 7 months of my journey. It didn't stop there. We moved, we went traveling. We went upstate and around to DC. We went up north through Dallas to Oklahoma to Missouri. We were traveling, so we were stopping and we were staying, and we went to DC, and then we came back down through Tennessee, and we came back home to Texas, which took about 2 or 3 weeks just to travel. And when we got here, I got into some trouble myself, and so we ended up moving down here where we are right now at these apartments. And ever since we've been here, we've stuck to the diet. But we got here after about a year on a healthy diet. I came off 78 pounds. So that's the story I tell people. I tell people, actually it was like 11 months, and I tell people that I lost 78 pounds in less than 12 months, in less than a year, right? Because that's what happened. I started out approximately 230, 228, somewhere around there, and when I was constipated, when I found out that, whoa, wait a minute, something's not right here. I lost 78 pounds from that point. I went all the way down to 152 pounds. So people were like, whoa, dude. And I never stopped. I never gave up. And when the spring came back around, we got a gym membership, and I began lifting weights, and my weight picked up, and my skin was smooth. It was just a whole new me. It's a totally new me. And that's pretty much my journey. Right now, we're going on 3 years now, and I've been teaching this. This is what I've been doing, teaching, talking to people, and this is what I want to do. Get better at this. Like, I don't have to focus on the nutrition, on the food aspect, because I know the food. It's in my subconscious. I wake up, I had 2 peaches, and I should have had this first, because when I had the peaches, man, my palate was dry. I got this food tumbling down, and even though it's just a peach, which is light, my body notices these things. It feels these things because it's reached a certain level. You know what I mean? So, like before, maybe if I ate meat, I would never notice that it was large clumps going down my stomach trying to be digested or whatever. Well, same thing now. When I wake up and eat a peach and don't drink water and prepare my body for food, my body takes notice because I usually do it. You understand? So, yeah. So the foods that we're eating is simple. It's just earth food. It doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to get caught up in this science about, well, what about raw animal milk? Well, what about fish? Well, what about, look, if it does not grow from dirt. Here's some amaranth greens I'm about to pick right now. Remember I told you that I get my herbs wild. The herbs that I eat, because like I said, I'm on a whole nother level. So these are amaranth greens. Amaranth greens. You also have amaranth grains, grains. These are amaranth greens. I know my wild herbs, so I'm able to go and pick them. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick them, and I'm just going to stick them off in here so that they won't wilt anymore. And I'm just going to take about an hour to pick my amaranth greens, and that's a pretty big bush, so it's going to take a while. But you want your food to just be earth food. So I provide a food guide. That food guide are foods that are the best available foods that we have here according to Dr. Sebi. And when you begin to go out in the field and do your research, you'll notice that, well, he has amaranth greens on his list, but your amaranth greens grow wild, which means they're not cultivated or domesticated on someone's farm where they're reproducing it over and over and over again and weakening its molecular structure, weakening its vibration. You know what I mean? Like when you go to the store, those foods, the vibrations are weakened, and they're not growing wild. Like, where does wheat grow wild? It doesn't. It's grown on a plantation. So you have amaranth. which is callaloo or another form of spinach, but it's naturally grown. It's not spinach, it's amaranth green. Jicama. You know, he has prickly pears. Of course, you know, all of your fruit trees. I'm not too familiar with it. I don't see fruit trees growing wild, but we do know that they have seeds in them. So we do know that they are vibrating on a certain level, and the fruits are what catapulted me to the next level. That's something else I wanted to say, because we're at 20 minute mark, and the fruits, I'll say around 85% should consume your diet. I'm not going to say should consume your diet, but my diet is 85% fruits, meaning that, you know, when I wake up, I'm eating fruits. Midday, I'm eating fruits. Moving on towards the evening, I'm eating fruits. But then here and there, I'll throw in some nuts. I'll throw in some walnuts or some hazelnuts, some Brazil nuts, maybe in a smoothie. Try to do something different. Cook some food. Maybe Oriana likes to take the plantain bananas and make plantain chips. So many different ways that we can make pies or whatever that you want to do to combine foods together and make a compelling dish, something that you would like to eat yourself. Then at nighttime, you can eat your grains. You have your natural grains, such as amaranth grains. You can get them at the store. Quinoa. You can get the grains, you can cook them, or you can sprout and grow them yourself. But yeah, get the quinoa. You can make a quinoa dish with maybe avocado or something like that. So many different dishes out there that you can make. But the most important part of this whole health thing is to stay with earth food. You know, this whole thing about animal milk, I mean, come on, man. You know, it's an animal. We just have to wake up. What are we doing? We are consuming the milk meant for a calf, not the milk meant for a human baby. So, yeah, I really hope this was helpful. I feel that it was helpful. I'm definitely getting a good sweat. Oh, yes. The reason why I don't speak about exercise much whenever I'm speaking about health and about these things is because the health is A1. It's 80% of what's happening. You know, the body itself conforms to whatever you're doing anyway. So if you're active, your body is gonna mold itself to that form. But if you're putting things inside the body, things that block the body up, then it's going to slow down that body, because the body has to remove that. So if you're putting harmful things in the body has to form a web around it, which is just mucus, form a web around it, and then you keep eating these harmful things, and it grows and grows and grows, and we call ourselves fat. Well, we're not fat, well, we are fat, but that fat is just the obstruction that we're putting in our body. This is why I'm telling you, eat the earth food, so all of the so-called fat can be systematically removed by the system, by your body. But you have to be conscious enough to put the right proper foods in your body, and those proper foods are earth foods. And just be aware that they gotta have seeds, because we are still under the umbrella, and they create the foods. So we have to be aware and conscious enough to know, say, okay, that right there is not natural. We don't want to eat that food right there. But that right over there, yes, that wild yam, yes, that Queen Anne lace, the purslane, the amaranth greens. Yes, that right there is natural. We can eat that, and it has a high vibration. And once you begin to get on that level, then the body and the exercise is just going to be a plus. You know what I mean? You can do push-ups, you can do whatever you want to do, and you're going to see the results instantly, because your body is metabolizing at a higher rate, at a quicker rate, because the blood doesn't have to be in the gut, breaking down all the toxic waste, sending toxic waste to the lymphatic system to be restored, and then having to remove it. No, when there's less food in your body, when you have your fruits and your vegetables that can break down and assimilate and spread throughout the body easily, then the blood can be churning when you're exercising, because there's nothing here in the gut. You see what I mean? All the blood, the iron can be working on the limbs and working in the brain and cleansing the organs and the glands and things like that. So once you get the nutrition down, focus on nutrition first. Focus on the foods that you're eating. Focus on the earth foods. Then, in addition, also focus on the different types of exercise. Learn various exercises, not just in the gym doing bench press and things like that. Work on different types of body movements. Begin to go deeper into your research. I hope you find this well. I hope you find this helpful. Peace.